Welcome, traveler of the inner realms. Perhaps you arrived here out of curiosity, a quiet hunger for something more, or simply because of a whisper from within you, one that your mind can't explain but your soul recognizes. Whatever led you here, know this. No one steps onto this path by accident. Somewhere between the body and the soul, between the seen and the deeply felt, there lies a doorway, ancient, silent, and waiting to be remembered. Today, we are not searching for belief. We are returning to a knowing, not the kind found in books, but the kind etched into breath, bone, and being. You don't need to believe anything yet. You only need to listen with presence. Because sometimes, what changes your entire life begins with a single touch, in the right place, at the right time, with the right soul. Part 1, the door that breathes behind you. Have you ever felt something calling you, not from the world outside, but from somewhere within? Somewhere just beyond memory, just behind the veil of ordinary awareness. This story begins not in a temple, nor in a secret scroll, but in the quiet space where your head meets your neck, where breath becomes thought, where stillness turns into sensation. This is not a fantasy, nor a forgotten myth. This is your body, remembering. There is a hidden door at the base of your skull, and it breathes. Hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, there were those who knew this truth without needing to be told. They felt it. In the cool dawns of the Himalayan valleys, in the stone stillness of Egyptian temples, in the whispering winds of Taoist mountains, sages, monks, wanderers, they all had one thing in common. They listened to this spot, not with the ears, but with the spirit. They called it many names: the gate of wind, the eye of the nape, the drop of divine memory. But they all agreed on one thing, that this point was not just a spot on the body. It was a threshold, a bridge, a forgotten entrance to something much, much older than words. Perhaps you've touched it before, in a moment of deep stress, when your hand instinctively found the back of your neck. Or maybe when someone placed a caring hand there, and you felt yourself soften. That was no coincidence. That was a whisper from your own energy field. That was the door breathing, waiting. In modern science, they've mapped this point. It lies near the occipital bone, where the brainstem meets the spine. It's connected to the vagus nerve, the cerebellum, and the autonomic nervous system. Touching it can shift your brain waves, change your heartbeat, and alter your state of alertness. But the ancients didn't need MRIs or neuroscience journals. They only needed presence. Stillness, a finger, and a breath. The door never disappeared. We just stopped believing it was real. We became minds disconnected from bodies, stories disconnected from spirit. But the body never forgot. The body remembers everything. It remembers the rhythm of stars, the sound of water inside the womb, the language before language, and now, so do you. Part 2, the forgotten geometry of energy. They say that energy flows where attention goes. But what if attention was a compass, and the nape of your neck was true north? This point, this quiet curve behind your skull, isn't just anatomy. It is architecture. A living blueprint etched into your body by something or someone far more ancient than science dares to admit. The ancients didn't speak of muscles and bones. They spoke of lines of light, vortexes of intention, and doors that opened not with keys but with awareness. Across the temples of Karnak, in scrolls hidden in the dust of Tibetan caves, and in the whispered teachings of Taoist hermits, they drew maps. But not on paper. They drew them in posture, in breath, in silence. All of them pointed to one secret structure, a convergence, a meeting point behind the head, where heaven meets spine and spirit remembers how to speak. Why there? Because 3 rivers meet at the base of your skull. The first, the physical river, your spinal cord, the central channel of your nervous system. Every sensation, every flicker of life runs through it. The second, the energetic river, known in tantric yoga as Sushumna. It is the path of the rising serpent, the channel through which Kundalini ascends. And the third, the electromagnetic river, what some now call the biofield. It is your aura, your unseen skin, the field of frequencies you carry wherever you go. These rivers don't just exist side by side, they merge at the nape, which means that this point is not passive. It's not a button, it's an intersection, a crossroads between body, energy, and signal. And like any crossroads, it holds power to direct, to unlock, or to lose yourself completely. In Egypt, the initiates were trained to hold their breath at the nape for exactly 9 seconds during sunrise rituals. In China, the point was massaged with jade before sleep to release ghost energy. In India, yogis would place drops of sacred oil there and meditate for hours until time dissolved. Each tradition remembered something we forgot, that the body is not just flesh, it is sacred geometry in motion. And the nape, it is the hinge, the pivot, the gatekeeper between the seen and the unseen. But this isn't about religion. This is not a ritual reserved for monks or mystics. This is yours. Built into your design, coded into your breath. The only thing missing is your awareness. So pause, feel it now. Let your spine straighten, let your chin lower just slightly. Bring your hand to the back of your neck. Do you feel that curve, that hollow, that breath of a doorway? That's it, that's the place. Don't press. Just notice, as if you were meeting an old friend for the first time again. This is how remembering begins. Not with belief, not with effort, but with a gentle hello. Part 3, the silent key, how to touch the door without forcing it. Let me ask you something quietly. When was the last time you touched your body not to fix it, not to judge it, but simply to listen? This point at the nape of your neck, it doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to presence. The ancient ones understood this. They knew that certain doors cannot be pushed open. They must be invited, like a wild bird that lands in your hand only when your palm forgets it is a trap. The door we speak of, the one hidden beneath your skull, is one of those doors. Touching it is not like pressing a button or flipping a switch. It's more like knocking on a door that already knows you. The key isn't your finger, it's your awareness. There are many ways to do this. Some use the index and middle finger together. Others prefer the thumb pad for a firmer but still gentle contact. Some people approach it lying down before sleep. Others stand in meditation with eyes closed and hands behind the back. But the method is less important than the message. I am here. I remember you. To begin, sit comfortably. Let your spine rise naturally. Breathe in slowly. As you exhale, bring your hand to the base of your skull where the neck curves in slightly. Feel that small hollow. It's like a forgotten cradle. Rest your fingers there. Don't press. Just make contact like a whisper. Now close your eyes. Let the mind be quiet, not by force, but by permission. You are not trying to activate anything. You are not trying to achieve. You are simply visiting an old room in the house of your soul. In the first moments, you might feel nothing. That's okay. You are not here for results. You are here for relationship. But if you wait, if you breathe, you might begin to notice a subtle warmth, a gentle pulse beneath the skin, a tingling that seems to hum with ancient music, or a shift in the air around you, like the room is watching. Some describe it as a light pressure, like the beginning of a memory returning. Others feel waves of emotion, not from the mind, but from somewhere deeper. Tears, laughter, silence, all may arise. This is your body recognizing home. In ancient initiations, this moment was called the first breath behind the eyes. Not because the eyes see it, but because the soul begins to open its own vision. The more gently you touch, the more deeply it responds. The door doesn't open to strength, it opens to sincerity. And once opened, even a crack, it changes you. Not by turning you into someone else, but by returning you to someone you forgot you were. This is the silent key. This is the invitation. No words, no drama, just presence and breath and a touch that says, I'm listening. Part 4, the shadow behind the door. What awakens when you remember? Every door, no matter how sacred, casts a shadow. And when you touch the door behind your neck, when you truly remember it, you're not just opening a path to light. You're also opening a passage to your forgotten rooms, the ones filled not with stars, but with stories. Some beautiful, some unfinished, some still aching to be heard. You see, the body does not store only energy. It stores memory. Emotional, ancestral, even karmic memory, like dust settled deep into the woodwork of your being. And when you knock on this ancient door, it does not lie to you. It opens the vault. The first thing many people feel is warmth, yes. But right behind that warmth is often a ripple of discomfort, a flash of sadness, a sudden tightness in the chest, maybe even tears, and you won't know why. That's not a mistake. That's the body doing what it was made to do, release. When this point activates, it begins to pulse with signals that travel through your spinal cord, up into the brain, and down into the nervous system. These signals don't just calm you, they unlock you. They loosen old knots, stir up memories you thought were gone, bring to the surface beliefs that were buried, maybe since childhood. Not to punish you, but to cleanse you. It's like opening a long-sealed well. At first, the water is cloudy, but if you keep drawing from it gently, patiently, the clarity returns. The stream runs pure, and with it, your presence becomes sharper, deeper, cleaner. In many spiritual traditions, this phase was called the descent before the rise. It is the sacred spiral. You do not ascend by escaping your darkness, you ascend by embracing it, letting the wound breathe, letting the shadow dance in the light. That's why this practice is not for the impatient. It's not for the thrill seekers. It is for those who are ready to meet themselves. Fully, finally, fiercely. There's no shame in what arises. If grief comes, let it. If fear surfaces, greet it. If rage speaks, hear it out. The door at your nape does not judge, it only reveals. And it reveals exactly what your soul has been waiting to remember. Sometimes, what awakens is not even personal. It is collective. You may feel the weight of your lineage, your mother's silence, your father's sorrow, your ancestors' fire. This is not hallucination. This is cellular truth surfacing. Let it move, let it pass through, let it teach you. Because after the release comes the re-entry. And when you return from those inner shadows, something has changed. The light is softer but stronger. The breath is quieter but wiser. And you are no longer split between who you are and who you pretend to be. You are simply whole. This is what happens when the door opens fully. Not only do you awaken, but you become aware of everything you were trying not to feel. And that is the beginning of true freedom. Part 5, Daily Magic. How to weave this into the ordinary and never be the same again. The truth is, you don't need a temple. You don't need incense, robes, or rituals carved into ancient stone. All you need is a moment, a breath, a touch. Spiritual awakening doesn't happen on mountaintops anymore. It happens in kitchens, in traffic jams, in quiet, lonely mornings. It happens when you pause, just for a heartbeat, and remember, I am here, and I am listening. This point behind your neck, this doorway, is not just for mystical moments. It was made for the ordinary. That's where the real magic hides, not in the big, thunderous epiphanies, but in the small, consistent remembering. So let's begin with 5 daily practices. 5 spells, if you will. Not of sorcery, but of presence. 1. The morning whisper. When you wake up, before the phone, before the noise, place your hand gently on the back of your neck. Close your eyes. Breathe into the spot. Say nothing. Just feel. Let that first contact of the day remind you that you're not beginning from emptiness, but from connection. This changes everything. You don't rush into your day. You arrive into it. 2. The midday anchor. In the middle of chaos, a busy office, a stressful deadline, a loud cafe, take 60 seconds. Close your eyes if you can, or simply go inward, touch the point, breathe deeply. Let your nervous system reset. Let your field harmonize. It doesn't matter what's happening outside. This is your private sanctuary. 3. The pre-threshold touch before any important moment. A meeting, a date, a creative task. Touch the spot again. Not for power, but for clarity. It aligns you with your truest frequency. It tells your body this matters, and the body responds, not with adrenaline, but with presence. 4. The emotional alchemy. When you feel overwhelmed or numb or unsure, don't push the feeling away. Invite it to meet you at the nape. Place your fingers there. Breathe with the emotion, not against it. This is how emotion transforms, not by suppression, but by witnessing. 5. The sleep gate ritual. At night, as you lay down, bring your hand once more to the sacred curve behind your head. Breathe slowly. Ask nothing. Expect nothing. Just listen. You may find your dreams become deeper, your rest more healing. The door doesn't close at night, it just changes its light. These small practices are not chores. They are threads of remembering. Every time you touch the spot, you're not only activating energy, you're building a relationship with the unseen parts of yourself. You're telling your soul, you are not forgotten. And over time, something astonishing happens. The space between you and your truth shrinks. The gap between the moment and the meaning dissolves. You begin to feel a quiet current guiding your day, even in the most mundane tasks. Washing dishes, walking home, looking out the window. This is where the sacred meets the simple. This is embodied magic, not because it makes you more special, but because it makes you more real. The world doesn't need more awakened minds, it needs more awakened hearts, living in awakened bodies, doing awakened things like folding laundry with love, or answering emails with breath, or smiling at a stranger like they are secretly divine. This is what the door behind your neck was always trying to tell you. You don't have to escape the world to become whole. You only have to return to it fully. One breath at a time, one touch at a time, until the extraordinary becomes your new ordinary. Part 6, The Whispering Gate, How Your Inner Knowing Speaks Through the Nape. What if I told you that this point behind your neck doesn't just receive energy, it sends messages? Yes, it's a doorway, but it's also a mouthpiece, a transmitter, a spiritual radio tuned to frequencies most people forgot how to hear. When you activate this point, you're not just opening yourself to feel more. You're awakening a form of non-verbal dialogue between your deeper self and the reality around you. The ancient Taoists believed that when the wind palace, as they called this spot, opened, the body didn't just relax, it began to receive guidance from the cosmos. Subtle nudges, quiet insights, the kind of knowing that doesn't come from the mind, but from somewhere underneath it. Have you ever had a sudden sense that someone was watching you and turned to see they were? Or felt a place as heavy or light without reason? That's not imagination. That's this doorway whispering. The body knows before the brain. The nape senses before the thoughts form. It is the first antenna, the first to pick up signals of alignment, danger, beauty, truth. And when you start listening to it, you begin to notice patterns you missed before. You leave a room without knowing why and avoid conflict. You delay a phone call and later realize the timing was perfect. You sense a person's energy shift before their words even change. This isn't magic. This is your body remembering how to speak the language of life. The more you work with this point, the more sensitive you become, not in a fragile way, but in a tuned-in way. Like a piano string that vibrates when another note in the room matches its frequency. You begin to resonate with clarity. Of course, not every feeling is guidance. That's why this work requires discernment. The more still you become, the more you can tell the difference between intuition and impulse, between gut knowing and mental noise. This is the art of inner listening, and the nape is your tuning fork. In many mystical schools, it's said that your guidance always arrives as a whisper, never a shout, because truth doesn't force itself, it invites. And the whisper behind your neck, that is the voice of your original self, speaking again after lifetimes of silence. Part 7, The Mirror Effect, What Changes Around You When You Change Within. We often try to change our lives by changing our jobs, our routines, our relationships. But the great mystery is this: when you change your energy, your life reorganizes itself. It's not philosophy, it's physics. Everything around you, people, places, situations, responds to your frequency. And the moment you begin activating the nape point, your frequency shifts. Subtly at first, like a tuning fork adjusting its note. Then more obviously, like the room gets quieter when someone with deep presence enters. You've likely seen this happen before without realizing. You walk into a room after doing deep inner work, and suddenly the people around you seem more relaxed, or more stirred. Either way, they respond to something unspoken. That's because energy speaks before language, and the most powerful changes often begin without words. The nape of your neck is not just an activation point, it's a broadcast tower. When it opens, you're not only tuning in, you're transmitting. Your boundaries strengthen without aggression. Your choices become cleaner without explanation. Your presence becomes magnetic, not because you try, but because you are. This affects everything. Relationships. You no longer tolerate disconnection. You begin to attract those whose nervous systems feel like home. Work. You're drawn to roles that match your clarity. You no longer chase what drains you. Space. You rearrange your home without knowing why, and suddenly it feels sacred. Time. You notice synchronicities. Moments line up. The right person calls at the right time. It's not coincidence, it's resonance. The more attuned you are to your internal doorway, the more your external world adjusts to match your vibration. Not instantly, not always easily, but inevitably. This is why true transformation doesn't begin with changing the world. It begins with changing the way you relate to the door behind you. Because when that door opens, something ancient steps forward inside you. And the universe, recognizing that presence, begins to open in return. Part 8, The Guardian Within. Why this point is more than a tool, it's a guide. By now, you may have realized that the nape of your neck is more than a place. It is a presence. It does not just respond to your touch. It communicates, it teaches, it protects. And the more you listen, the more it begins to feel like something or someone is watching over you from within. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual architecture. Across cultures, mystics spoke of this spot not as a mechanical switch, but as a living gatekeeper, a part of your own consciousness that stands guard between realms, between the everyday and the eternal, between the reactive self and the aware self. In ancient Egypt, it was said that initiates could not pass into the higher temples until the eye at the back of the head had opened. Not because it made them powerful, but because it made them responsible. The gatekeeper at the nape was not a force to be controlled. It was a guide to be trusted. So what does this mean for you? It means this point is more than a technique. It is a mirror of your readiness. When you touch it with respect, it responds. When you seek without honesty, it stays silent. It cannot be manipulated, only met. And once it begins guiding you, it does so in ways that are deeply personal. For some, it whispers before a mistake. For others, it pulses when truth is near. Sometimes it pulls you away from danger. Other times, it gives you courage to walk into the unknown. It becomes a compass, but one that points inward to your own alignment. You may begin to feel it activate during conversations, in dreams, even in the middle of mundane tasks. A sudden warmth, a quiet vibration, a sense of something just clicked. This is the guardian within, doing its job, not to dominate you, but to guide you back to yourself. The more you work with it, the less you rely on outer noise. The more you trust your own signals, your own timing, your own knowing. And slowly, the fear of being lost fades, because you've met the part of you that was never lost at all. The nape is not just a spot on your body. It is a sentinel, a spiritual companion, a wise presence that was built into your design, waiting patiently, not to awaken you, but to walk with you once you're ready. And now, you are. Part 9, The Echo Code, Why Touching the Nape Unlocks All the Forgotten Places in You. Some doors, when opened, don't just reveal what's behind them. They awaken what's beneath, above, beside, and deep within. The nape point is like this. It is not just a gateway to energy. It is a resonance switch, a trigger for the body's most ancient intelligence. When you touch it with presence, something unusual happens. Your entire inner architecture begins to vibrate, as if recognizing a frequency it had long forgotten. This is why some people feel tingling in the spine, why others feel warmth behind the heart, why memories emerge out of nowhere, not random, but rhythmic, as if the soul were humming its song back into motion. Your body, you see, is not made of flesh alone. It is built of echoes, echoes of touch, of silence, of sound never spoken. And the nape, that subtle curve behind your skull, is the central amplifier. It's as if pressing that point sends out a silent signal, a forgotten code that travels through fascia, nerves, bones, unlocking door after door. Sometimes it feels like you're remembering yourself piece by piece, room by room. The hips relax, the chest expands, the jaw unclenches, the breath deepens. You weren't aware those places were tight until they softened. This is the echo code in motion. Not loud, not dramatic, but undeniable. Even your dreams may change. You may dream in symbols again, in colors, in guidance. The body's language returns, unspoken but understood. And most surprisingly, your creativity wakes up, not from effort but from clearance. The fog lifts, the muse arrives, and you don't need to try, only to listen. Because here's the truth. When you activate this point, you don't just wake up energy. You wake up everything that ever fell asleep inside you. The laughter, the courage, the softness, the knowing, the permission. The code echoes through your being, and each time you return to the nape, it gets louder. Not in volume, but in presence. This is the true legacy of the nape point. It's not a spiritual gimmick. It's a memory device. A portal that reminds your body how to be whole again. Not by becoming someone else, but by coming back to all the places in you that once went quiet. You are not broken. You are reconnecting. You are not behind. You are returning. And every echo says, welcome back. Part 10. The door was never outside. you were always the key. So here you are, not at the end, but at the beginning that lives on the other side of remembering. You've read of the point behind your skull, you've felt its pulse, its warmth, its invitation. But the truth is, this was never just about the nape. It was about you, the version of you that was waiting to be touched not by fingers, but by attention, by permission, by love. The world may never tell you this. It may never validate your inner fire, your quiet knowing, your strange sensitivity. It will give you rules, identities, titles, but it won't give you what you're really looking for, because that lives in the space only you can enter. That space begins where your head meets your neck. That space is sacred, and when you choose to return to it again and again, not as a task but as a temple, something remarkable happens. The line between the physical and the spiritual blurs. You don't need to leave your body to find the divine. You only need to meet your body differently. You begin to see that your spine is not just a column, but a ladder. Your skin is not just a covering, but a map. Your breath is not just air, but a bridge. And the back of your neck, not just a spot, but a doorway that breathes. You'll return to this spot in many moods. Sometimes broken, sometimes brave, sometimes confused, sometimes clear. But the door never judges. It simply receives. Like the earth receives a seed, like the sea receives a tear. You may forget again. That's okay. Forgetting is part of the spiral. But now you know how to return. You know where the silence lives, and that is enough. Because the truth, dear soul, is this. The key was never outside of you. The teacher was never far. The voice you were searching for was the one waiting to be heard in your own skin. The sacred has not left you. It's been waiting at the base of your skull. The door is open now, and you are home.